What is up, enthusiasts? It is Cedar Flags here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. I just want to let you all know that we are so close to 7,000 subscribers, so thank you so much. And by the time this video is uploaded, I could be up there. So, as the time I am uploading this video, yesterday, Seaworld announced two roller coaster opening announcements. Now, these two coasters are Iron Gwazi, the RMC Hyper Hybrid, and Icebreaker, the premier rides multi-launch at Seaworld Orlando. Now, what's so important about this? Well, these roller coasters were originally going to come out in 2020. Iron Gwazi is projected to open in March now, and Icebreaker is supposed to open in February. This means that the long-anticipated 2-year delay may come to an end finally. And yes, this is of course major news, but a lot of enthusiasts keep saying this was a very bad decision for a business perspective. The park lost a lot of hype with these rides, and it's definitely a shame that they had to do this, but I truly think that this might be a warranted decision. This might have been a right decision by the park all along, and today I want to get into that. In this video, we're going to be looking at a timeline of this 2-year delay, and see if Iron Gwazi and Icebreaker could have opened with its full hype, and a lot of success compared to its 2022 opening. So, this is Cedar Flags, and I'll be answering the question, was it a good decision to delay these rides? Before I start the video, I just want to remind you, if you enjoy my content, I suggest you press the subscribe button, and since we are so close to 7K, I could not thank you all enough. Anyways, let's get back into the timeline. So, going back to early 2020, hopes were high for the 2020 season, and hopes were high for basically about everything. The coasters were originally announced for 2020, but, of course, a major obstacle came during the operating season. In early March of 2020, it was announced that the entire country was going to basically shut down due to COVID restrictions. Yeah, over the course of the month of March, this business closed, then that business closed, then schools closed, and soon enough, amusement parks were forced to shut down. This was of course because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and all of the parks really took a beating from this. This is one of these weird situations where you really can't put the blame on anyone. Everything shut down basically to a major pandemic that was spreading out of control, so it was, like I said, beyond our control. In the coming months, the COVID-19 pandemic started to slow down and parks started to reopen. This was in the summer months of 2020, June, July, August, but it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Due to the pandemic still spreading, there were a lot of restrictions. People had to wear masks, and the capacity was a lot shorter than it used to be. So, what was the result of that? Parks having nowhere near the attendance that they would. In fact, Cedar Fair parks were estimated to have only 10% of their attendance. Cedar Point usually gets around 3 million guests a year. This year, they only got 250,000. That is nowhere close to what they wanted. And even with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' conservative views on COVID-19 restrictions, people from around the country were still not willing to travel. And that really damaged even the Florida parks with their limited capacity rules. Now, Busch Gardens and Seaworld saw this and decided that they would not be opening the coasters this year. And in my personal opinion, I think that was the right move. Now, we have seen parks open up coasters last year successfully. Look at Orion at Kings Island and Candemonium at Hershey Park. Both are phenomenal rides, and I feel like they got the hype they deserved, at least from the coaster enthusiast crowd. When you see opening videos of Orion and Candemonium, a lot of the comments are criticizing the parks for having all of these guests hyping over this ride during a pandemic, so I would say it went off, but not without a hitch. Seriously, I mean, Kings Island did get a lot of controversy for this, at least in my feed, so I feel like it wasn't the best choice to open it around this time, but I think SeaWorld came up with the right idea. Now we go to fall 2020. Peak attendance season was over even for COVID crowds, and it seemed like COVID restrictions were getting back to normal, until late fall 2020, when cases started to rise more than ever, and entire corporations shut down. The lockdown of late 2020 was very similar to the lockdown of early 2020, just a little bit more regulated. Unfortunately, they still didn't open these rides. Now, if this was a good decision or not, I'm not going to personally state my opinion, because I am turned on this. Yes, the COVID restrictions were shut down a bit for a little bit of 2020, but at the same time, they still were there, and they were still getting a bit of controversy. Now, would it have been a better decision to open it up in 2020? I honestly might think so, just because it's lost so much hype over the past 2 years. But anyway, that's a topic for later in the video. Now we go to 2021. 2021 is truly the year that COVID restrictions are starting to loosen up. People are starting to get back to parks again, and parks are gaining that pre-COVID attendance like they used to, or at least something close. But COVID is still roaming around, and attendance is still slightly down. Now, let's talk about the elephants, plural in the room, Emperor and Pantheon. These two coasters I haven't even mentioned yet because 1, they haven't even announced the opening for these rides at all, and 2, they're not in the state of Florida. Now this is where I get to attack Seaworld, because I seriously don't get why they didn't open these rides in 2021. I think opening Emperor and Pantheon in 2021 would have been the best decision for these, but looking at Icebreaker and Iron Gwazi, that would have been the worst decision they ever could have made, because another coaster in the same area was going to overshadow those completely. That is right, Universal Studios' Jurassic World Velocicoaster was preparing to open up, and from pass holder previews to soft openings to its final opening in summer of 2021, the hype was absolutely everywhere. A lot of enthusiasts say this is one of the most hyped up coasters of all time. I remember being an enthusiast when rides like Steel Vengeance and Fury 325 came out, and few coasters have reached the opening day hype as they have. But I would say Velocicoaster has gotten up to that category. In Universal, I'm sorry Seaworld, but Universal is a league above you guys. Universal has some of the highest attended parks in the world, and they are universally, pun intended, known. So when it comes to opening a ride like, let's say Icebreaker, a multi-launch in Orlando, right next to Velocicoaster, another multi-launch in Orlando, it's going to look like the poor, sad other brother. Now, looking at a ride like Iron Gwazi, even though that it is far away enough, and it's a completely different ride, I could still see why they waited to open it. So 2021 was definitely not the best choice in my personal opinion. I really am glad that they didn't open this in 2021. Heck, I would have rather seen them opening it up in 2020 than opening it up in 2021, because Velocicoaster, man, that took a lot of hype, and everyone was focusing on that. It seems like most enthusiasts have honestly forgotten about the two Florida Seaworld coasters at this point. Until yesterday. If you didn't see, Seaworld started to gain more hype for these two coasters once again by announcing their opening dates roughly. February and March of 2022, we will see the opening of these two Florida rides. By then, Velocicoaster hype will slightly fade at the very least, and these rides will have their times in the spotlight. And let's be honest, I know a lot of people are complaining about it now, but once these coasters open, everyone's going to be going to these parks. And hopefully none of these COVID variants get in the way of this. I really hope that these variants will not take over and put more capacity restrictions, but maybe, just maybe, we could hope for a better future in the coaster industry when it comes to these rides opening. Now, here's the big question. Was this a good decision to wait or not? I say yes and no. I honestly think they could have gone away with opening this up in 2020 with limited hype, and I feel like the delay in it opening up in 2022 would be around the same amount of hype as if they opened it up to a limited crowd in 2020. So when it comes to 2020, I really don't get why they delayed it, but they're a lot more professional when it comes to business than I am, so maybe we should just follow their lead. In 2021, I think it would have been a really bad decision to open this up along with Velocicoaster, so when it comes to that, I say 2022 is the right choice. 2022 is going to be an interesting year because these rides have been dormant for 2 years. I remember the announcement for Iron Gwazi. To put it into perspective, that was back in 2019, and by the time Iron Gwazi opens, that will be 3 years after the announcement. It's looking like Disney over here. But anyway, that is my video. What did you think about the video? Let me know down in the comments below. And in the next set of videos, if I reach 7,000 subscribers, I will come out with a special maybe a live stream, maybe something else, we will see. So, like, subscribe if you haven't already. Do you think it was a good decision? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you all later.